Tulsa, Oklahoma. We began this leg of our journey here, where the dust of memory never really settled. It lingers in the soil, in the sky, and in the soul of Greenwood. This place, once called Black Wall Street, wasn't just Black excellence, it was Black futurism before they even had a name for it. Doctors, lawyers, business owners, jazzwomen, tradespeople, all came here and built a thriving community. And in 1921, that brilliance was burned to the ground. But this isn't about what was taken. This story is about what survived and what returns. Today, I stand in the Greenwood Rising Museum, not just to remember, but as a witness, because this isn't just a museum, it's a portal to the past. This is where we start season 3 of Return of the Unicorns. The unicorns that I speak of, they're the ones the system tried to erase. Children born in genius, labeled too much, made to disappear. Exceptional Black minds discarded, not because they failed, but because they defied the lies. You see, we were told that history wasn't for us, science wasn't for us, Africa had nothing to do with us. But these lies just weren't true. So we came to Greenwood Rising asking questions, not just about what happened in Tulsa, but what's happening everywhere, what keeps happening from Los Angeles to Tulsa, from the deserts of California to the car. We trace the trail of stolen stories, and now we're here to reclaim them. This is not just a segment about a massacre. This is the reassembly of memory, the restoration of genius. This is Return of the Unicorns. I'm Dr. Myrna Roberts, and what you're about to see isn't just history, it's prophecy recovered. Greenwood Rising, aka Black Wall Street History Center, is located at the corner of North Greenwood Avenue and East Archer Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The museum is dedicated to preserving the history of Greenwood community with a particular focus on the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Its mission is to educate, connect, and foster healing by sharing the stories of Black Wall Street and celebrating the resilience of its people. The museum uses modern, immersive exhibits, including holographic images, large projection screens, and interactive displays to bring Greenwood's vibrant history to life. The Tulsa Race Massacre was a 2-day white supremacist attack that happened on May 31st and June 1st, 1921. During that time, a white mob descended upon the Greenwood district, destroying homes, looting businesses, and killing Black residents. Greenwood, aka Black Wall Street, had been one of the most prosperous Black communities in the United States. The massacre is now recognized as one of the most severe and racially motivated acts of domestic terrorism in U.S. history. Oklahoma in 1921 was marked by Jim Crow segregation, rampant racial tension, and a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. Yet Greenwood thrived, anchored by a network of successfully owned Black businesses, professionals, institutions, and Black farmers. The violence was reportedly triggered by an accusation against Dick Rowland, a young Black shoe shiner, involving an incident in an elevator with Sarah Page, a white elevator operator. The Tulsa Tribune published a sensationalized article about the event, fueling widespread rumors of a potential lynching. A white mob soon gathered at the courthouse demanding Rowland's release, while a group of armed Black men arrived to protect him. Violence erupted after a shot was fired during the confrontation. A coordinated white mob, some of whom were deputized, then invaded Greenwood, killing residents and setting fire to their homes and businesses. Eyewitnesses reported airplanes swarming like birds, flying overhead and dropping incendiary devices on the district. The Oklahoma National Guard, which some believe first participated in the violence, was later deployed to restore order. Martial law was declared and thousands of Black residents were detained. For decades, the event was mislabeled as a riot rather than a coordinated massacre that it was. The destruction was catastrophic. An estimated 75 to 300 people were killed, over 800 hospitalized, and more than 35 blocks of Greenwood was burned to the ground. Property losses were estimated at $2 million at the time, equivalent to over $40 million today. No white perpetrators were ever prosecuted, and survivors received no restitution. Many residents fled Tulsa entirely, and for decades, public silence surrounded the massacre. Nevertheless, Greenwood's citizens began the arduous task of rebuilding their community almost immediately. According to current shopkeepers and longtime residents near the Greenwood Rising Museum, it is widely understood within the Black community that Dick Rowland and Sarah Page were romantically involved and that they left Tulsa together during or shortly after the massacre. While official records remain silent or ambiguous on this point, oral histories and generational memory preserve a different version of the story. We give this oral history place here because Black communities have carried full truth even as mainstream historical accounts have omitted or distorted it. Greenwood community members honors these untold truths, not as rumor, but as part of a broader reckoning with the complexities and silences of American history.
The Black Wall Street area of Tulsa, the area that was known as Black Wall Street. There was restaurants, there were clothing stores, there were gift shops, but these places did not create wealth. The wealth in Oklahoma that was in the possession of Black people at that time was created on the farm. And we farmed, we brought our produce to Tulsa and we sold it and we got money And that's where the money came from, to go to the restaurant, to go to have a new soup made. Okay. Not only that, a lot of our lands and allotment that we had gotten from the Treaty of 1866 required the tribes who had enslaved us to give us allotments in the new areas where we were freed. That land had oil, and it was minerally rich. So it was the sale of goods and services, goods and resources that generated the money. Now, when oil was discovered in Tulsa and there was a desire to obtain that oil, these people who burned down what we call Black Wall Street, it was not a revolt to some incident that happened on an elevator between a young black man and a white woman who allegedly he touched her or looked at her strange, and all of a sudden you burn down a whole city. These people came from all over the country to Tulsa to participate in this event, and the state police and the National Guard also participated. As a result of us losing that market where we could bring our produce, people's watermelons and cantaloupes and onions were rotting in the fields because there was no place to sell it. You had towns that went bankrupt because Tulsa was burned down. They went and suffered greatly because of the destruction of a marketplace. That's what Wall Street was. It was a market for us to come in and trade our goods and receive monies, put our money in the bank. You had banks in Bowling. There's two banks in Bowling. You had the Red Bird Investment Company, where people in the South were encouraged to invest money in Oklahoma, in this new territory that was a land of opportunity for people fleeing the South and the Jim Crow South and the segregationists and all these things. And our community has been devastated by it. In addition to that, the infrastructure projects that went along with that, roads, bridges, railroads, all vanished. And now these remaining towns are seeking capital and reinvestment. And this is a start for us to be able to go into the larger Black community and say, look, Oklahoma has a historical legacy that needs to be preserved. And we need to try to focus our attention and hopefully some of the investment and all the skills that exist around the country, focus on here. We can be the breadbasket for America again on these same farms, because the land still exists, the town still exists. Only thing that's lacking is capital and human resources.
The museum explores the rise of Black Wall Street, its vibrant community life, and the devastating events of 1921. It serves not only as a memorial to those who perished, but also as a space for education, healing, and historical accountability. Greenwood Rising uses cutting-edge technology, including holographic displays and sophisticated projection screens, to bring the story of Black Wall Street to life. For example, upon entry, visitors encounter a striking series of holographic viewports. These images shift between past and present. This holographic barbershop scene from 1921 brings the past to life, allowing visitors to experience the everyday conversations that took place in Greenwood's community hubs. In this powerful sequence, anyone can easily visualize everyday life on Greenwood's main street. The scene begins with joy, community, and ease. Then in real time, it transforms into chaos as the bombs fall, looting erupts, and buildings burn. Images like these contrast the social, economic, and political conditions of Blacks and white Tulsans in 1921. This comparison underscores the systematic inequities that fueled the violence.
I think the significance of Tulsa happening in 1921 is instructive, but it's also, I believe, a roadmap for what we're talking about in terms of creating or recreating generational wealth and our own systems, economic systems as a community. The truth of Senate Bill 1, first bill ever passed in Oklahoma, the Jim Crow law. Interestingly, Black folks who were consigned to only exist in certain spaces and couldn't go in other places actually did well. And Tulsa is an example of the ingenuity, the resourcefulness, the creativity, the things that were happening in Tulsa during the period leading up to 1921. Black folks were doctors and lawyers and owned printing presses and operated businesses, and Tulsa was the hub of an economic system that revolved around the Black towns. Tulsa was the place where the farmers could bring their goods. When you talk about money in our community exchanging hands 5 and 6 times before, this money exchanged hands internally, right? And they were doing well. But the others were mad about it, they were upset about it. And so we now know that what they were calling a massacre, what they were calling a riot, was in fact a massacre. And everybody knows it. It's been exposed. I was privileged to write the 1921 Tulsa Commission to start to delve into the truth, and to the point that we now have a Black man as a mayor in Tulsa. These systems wherein we were to ourselves, by ourselves, self-sufficient, we really thrived in those settings. And for them to continually be disbanded and violently disbanded in the case of the Tulsa massacre is on stage, is front and center for the world to see how Black people are capable of surviving, how they're capable of thriving. If we can just get them to leave us alone, to allow our community to determine its own destiny and then not be jealous of what we achieve. So Tulsa was the heart of that. It was the hub. And when Tulsa was destroyed, it destroyed the hub. And beyond that, other political, racist types of policies further led to the disappearance of the majority of these Black towns, to the point that we only have 13 now. But what we're on the cusp of is rebuilding the infrastructure of these towns, recreating a marketing system that has them feeding into a common goal.
Buck Colbert Franklin, a prominent attorney and civil rights advocate throughout the Indian Territory, is more than a historical figure to me. He's my first cousin, 5 times removed. His story isn't just Greenwood's legacy, it's part of my family's living memory. And I believe these kinds of kinship connections, when acknowledged, can awaken powerful truths in all of us. Franklin moved to Tulsa in early 1921 and established his law practice with I.H. Spears and T.O. Chappelle on Greenwood Avenue in the prosperous Black Wall Street. During the massacre, he was marched at gunpoint to Tulsa Convention Hall and imprisoned there for several days. His office destroyed. This photograph is a tent. At the end of the tour, A dedicated reflection space invites visitors to process what they've experienced. This area encourages healthy dialogue and emotional decompression to prevent vicarious trauma and to help visitors connect what they've seen to their own lives and communities. Finally, the mural outside the museum across the street provides a powerful visual closure for the whole community and can serve as a meaningful backdrop for final reflection or concluding remarks. So we've left Tulsa, but the story of Greenwood didn't leave us. It carries forward the brilliance, the loss, the resilience of Black Wall Street continues to shape this journey. The Return of the Unicorns isn't just about documenting pain. No. It's about tracing the genius that they tried to erase and proving that it's still alive, showing strong evidence that it still exists. Our path now takes us to the deep roots of Oklahoma's all-Black towns. Next, we travel about an hour from Tulsa to Clearview, where I sat with Mr. Otis Davis, a 98-year-old elder, a living memory, a voice that links us directly to the past that our ancestors built with their own hands. I invite you to keep walking with us. Scan this QR code on the screen or tap the link below to view all the segments of Return of the Unicorns on YouTube. Support this project by subscribing and sharing. Your support keeps this work alive and helps bring the voices to light. I'm Dr. Myrna Roberts, and this is Return of the Unicorns. Because our history isn't just something to remember, it's something to reclaim.